Clement Apaak. He is Member of Parliament for Bulsa South. Doc, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Umaru, thank you, and good evening to listeners, especially my constituents in Bulsa South.
Indeed, they are listening to us live in Sandema. Thank you for sending your regards to them. You are saying that we may not see BEC and WAEC written this year. Why?
Yes. Umaru, as you rightly stated in your opening remarks, as far as Ghana's educational system is concerned, we have terminal exams where students that we are preparing to rise through the academic ladder have to write exams at set intervals. So the first stage, as you and I know, is to write the BECE, and on the basis of that, you then go to the senior high school, and then you write WAEC before you then proceed to tertiary. Now, what has been happening over the last few years is that the government has constantly and consistently been indebted to the West African Examination Council. And this is the recognized body that we have subscribed to set, plan, execute, and grade these examinations that I have just mentioned. WAEC has a lot of responsibilities, and part of WAEC's responsibility is not just within the context of setting the questions, producing them, and making sure that the questions get to the examination centers. But WAEC usually will recruit and train and deploy invigilators, supervisors, and those who mark the scripts. Now, all of these categories that I've mentioned ought to be paid. And that is why the issue at hand is worrisome, because invigilators, supervisors, and examiners have not been paid as they ought to. And the reason WAEC has been unable to pay them is because government is failing to pay WAEC for fees, because WAEC charges fees to government, which has decided, rightly so, to absorb the examination fees for our students at both the basic level and the secondary level. So essentially, WAEC will be incapable of deploying all these categories of persons and professionals who help WAEC to deliver on its mandate to do the work, because they have not been paid.
Now, what this simply means is that it's a money issue.
Yes, simply put, it is a money issue. You see, we have known this not today, but last year, a similar situation almost occurred. In fact, you will remember that you and I had conversations around that. After we had made the issue public, largely from the NDC side of Parliament, as we are doing again, government had even come out to deny through the Deputy Minister for Education, only to later on quickly release 60 million Ghana cedis out of a request of about 100 million Ghana cedis, which was what gave WAEC the barest minimum to start the processes, and then later on, government paid. We are facing a similar situation as we speak.
Now, the problem is that they've not given the money to WAEC, which money WAEC would use for the operationalization or the operations. And so the examiners have not been paid. There's a possibility they may not show up. How long has this been happening for? Is it for just the last exams or previous examinations as well?
Well, I think there's always been, if you like, a lag in terms of government meeting its commitments to WAEC, and I would say to many other institutions, has now become the norm. But for last year and this year, it looks like government has tended to wait to levels that create anxiety and even, tend to give the feeling to those of us in the space, the educational sector, of the real likelihood that these examinations could be affected in terms of the timeline. And I think that is the difference, because we can't say that it is only in the past 2 years, but what we can say is that the situation seems to have been exacerbated, where we are getting closer and closer to a turning point where, if care is not taken, the exams could truly be affected because of government's inability to meet its commitments to WAEC in a timely fashion. And I'm hoping that maybe perhaps as we are speaking, if government had listened to the earlier, commentary by my ranking member, something would have been done. But as it is now, we are yet to receive confirmation that something has been done. Perhaps if they could move very quickly to meet their commitment to WAEC halfway and then put in place the needed mechanisms to finish it, at least, as we like to say, half a loaf is better than none. But I would even argue that government ought to be able to find the resources to defray its indebtedness to WAEC, so that WAEC and the people who WAEC recruits to help execute this very important national exercise, which has to do with the future of this nation, clearly does not become jeopardized. I think that it would be in the national interest if institutions like WAEC and other critical agencies dealing with the human component of our society in terms of social interventions are prioritized in these difficult and self-inflicted challenges that we face as a nation.
Who has to be invited by the House of Parliament to come and answer questions on this, and who has to release this money?
Well, ideally, it has to be the Minister for Education, because as a member of the Education Committee, I know that the WAEC office in Ghana clearly always comes to Parliament as part of the agencies under the Ministry of Education to present its budget estimates to the Education Committee. And so consequentially, it should be the Ministry of Education. But you and I know fully well that the person who holds the purse on behalf of government, and in this case, the President of the Republic, is the Minister for Finance. So at the end of the day, regardless of what the Minister for Education would say or not say, it would all be predicated on the willingness and the ability of the Finance Minister to release monies to the Ministry of Education for onward remittance to agencies under the ministry, including WAEC.
Very well. Thank you so much. We'll keep an eye on that. But are you going to exercise any of your rights as a member of Parliament, though, to hold any of these officials to come answer questions on this matter?
Yes, we will. And as a matter of fact, we have always done that. I mean, if you were to check with the table office in Parliament and to see the number of questions that are filed on matters to do with education alone, it is breathtaking. Why the minister has not been showing agility in coming to respond to those questions is a matter for another day. But I can tell you that most of the challenges that we face in the educational sector and in the Republic of Ghana in general clearly can be placed on the doorsteps of the Finance Ministry, because most of the issues are funding related.
Very well. Thank you so much for speaking to us.
It's a pleasure always.
That's Dr. Clement Apaak. He is Member of Parliament for Bulsa South.